Hello again. This is the Waterman, Spiritual Toolbox number 363, John chapter 4, recording number 5, audio recording number 681, and examination table number 338. We'll be continuing in John chapter 4, verse 3. I got about 3 pages of notes on this, and there's like 9 words, I think, to interpret here. And we're going on how to deal with it now. What's going on inside our mind now, not just a history lesson. Okay? That's okay, the history lesson. But that's not, you're going to do us as much good as learn how these apply, how they're applicable now. Because where's God working inside our mind, right? If we don't know how to deal with it right now, when YHWH, Yahweh, is working and needs an answer in the storms of our lives, right then, what good is it? What's it doing us? It's a story. Or maybe a fact in the past, but it's exterior to us. No, God's taking it interior in the most intimate place in our minds to deal with these things. Each person individually and each individual thought process. God's working on it. Many times, it's taking it through that like spiraling staircase back into that pipeline of God's love. Back through that eye of the needle, back to God. If you don't do that, it's like you're not being baptized E-N and S-Y-N, the Holy Spirit, and in fire. See, there's pressures, tribulations, that's what's caused to bring about the change. See, that word like for, that's a new gar, G-A-R, it can be because, but if you get more specific down in there, God's giving his argument, putting forth his case to us. Okay? Giving an explanation and then intensifying it to where we want to give up on that old stinking thinking, turn from it, metanoia, change the way we think about that old stuff. Oh, that wasn't right at all. That wasn't like your right-mindedness. That's what we want. That wasn't greenlighting you. That was feeding from my own tree of good and evil. Or getting so exasperated and so fed up with it that we're rebellion. And go both ways, that good and evil stuff going down the drain. We got to learn how to say yes, Daddy. Like being brought forward to the front of the classroom and being a martyr. Forgot how to die to self. See, so if that ego dies, that ego must decrease. That I in us must decrease. That thing is separating us from God, edging God out, right? In the blue letter, it says ego. Gotta let go of that ego. Right? Let go of your old ego. You're carnal. That's non-spiritual. That you're put on the mind of Christ, put on the Spirit of God. So he can bring you back to the ability to complete that child, that love that goes beyond the mere description of words. Come back to that child, that ability to love God. A little bit by little bit by little bit. Little steps. Like 6-foot wall steps. Boom, that we can't get up with our 666 thinking. Alright, God's removing it. And then doing that, it's an increase in, it's gratitude and your level of reverence. Seeing God as, you are my exceeding great reward. Increases, and we become able to live, to love, to think, our being, to exist in that state of God's love, not our own conditional love. No matter how much we try to, I'm loving you the best I can. That's not nearly as much as loving you the way God can. That's the permanent stuff. This other stuff is temporary because we get pushed hard enough, that love goes to the potter, goes to the crap. You know what I mean? It ain't no good. Man, that dude about stepped on my toes the last time. You know, I ain't putting up with that crap no more. I think I'll shoot him. That's carnality and revenge. That's retaliation. See, remember that word, revenge. Vengeance is mine, says the Lord. That's not correct. It's vindication, and you got to get that understanding. What that vindication, God is at work in the spiraling staircase, increasing us back to the ability to understand it. Love him the way he loves. Just like Jesus gave us that example. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they're doing. Example after example after example. If you have the ears to hear, to see, hear, taste, touch, and smell, with Christ in control and not your old ego in control. That's a big law that pollutes and keeps you from seeing. God keeps you from seeing, hearing, taste, touch, and smell what God is doing. Understanding God's love. You can't function. That's a big 666 in your mind, and in your efforts, your hand, your works, right? If you're eating and feeding to that, that's pretty much what you're doing. That's what you are. You are what you eat, right? Okay. Let's get into these little words, this little passage here, okay? Sounds real simple, but let's open it up, okay? Now, in John chapter 4, verse 3, it says, he left Judea and departed again into Galilee. Okay, sounds easy, right? Let's see how that's applying now. Now that he in this one, that's Jesus talking about. And Jesus' name is I-E-S-O-U-S, right? Jesus. God is salvation. Yahweh, in that precise correct timing. Without the vowels. Not Jehovah. It's got vowels in it that elongates. They weren't there originally, right? It's Y-H-W-H. Right now, in that storm of life, right when he's putting the pressures to you, to bring it up there. His argument, his case is being built. Explanation. I am the greatest. Can't you see it? Putting you like in a headlock. Right? He's putting the pressure to you. Right? In the world there must be tribulation, calamities, thlipsis, pressures. But be of good cheer, for I have overcome the world. That's this, not just this outward stuff. It's just circumstances out there. Don't need to just take temperature like a thermometer. What is, man, it's hotter than heck in here. Everybody on do this. Right? No, you operate not from what this stuff is. Oh, woe is me, pain, grief, and suffering. I'm in hell. Oh, the world must be going to hell in a handbasket. Oh, the devil, or this guy, or that guy, or somebody else did it, or they did it. These circumstances made me do it. They didn't make you do it. You just reacted to that, and you took the temperature of that stuff. And man, that stuff just beat me down. I can't take it no more. Well, maybe God's bringing that storm up there to beat you down there so that you seek Him the better way, the superior way. Turn from that stuff. Man, that stuff sucks. Right? It's stupid, man. That stuff killing my butt. So you detest that tonight. Ooh, man, it looks good, but man, the ends of it is destruction. I swallow that stuff. It tastes good in my mouth at first. Then, man, it makes me sicker than a dog inside. The resulting stuff of it, man, eventually that stuff's not going to last. I'm going to be worse shape than ever. I go out and buy all this stuff. Man, I feel good for a while. Till I gotta pay for it. I got bills on bills. I got more bills coming in and I got going out. And that's because of you. Because of what you did. Okay? Now, no. Learn to take and God's building this relationship builder in you, so you turn to Him. He's your strong tower, your refuge, your rock. So you're feeding at whatever level of the grace in each and every area of your thinking. That's where your thermostat, that grace, charis, charis, that God's influence, the divine influence in your heart. I'm talking about pump. You don't think with your tangible heart. Boom, boom, boom. Your brain is not talking about that either. Tangible thing. Think with your mind inside. And then all the way down into that, trace it all the way back from that balls, like a ball of your thinking processes, and then all the way down in there, like from God, from that spirit, that seed of faith, and then whatever He's levels, He's twisted, He's increased, twisted into like a little stronger and stronger and stronger rope, 1 to 2 to 4 to 8, as your green light, He's twisting more in, and each time it's going to take more and more to get you through it, but you're getting stronger so you can handle it more, just like load testing a bridge. It's getting stronger, or pulling somebody out of something with a rope. It's becoming stronger and stronger as you put more and more, The density, the glory of God is increasing in you. That ability to racham, to complete that love that God has for you, is increasing. God's making His appearance as Erhamai, or Parousia. Two different words, but they're describing similar type things. Where God's making His appearance in you, or He's returning, He's coming and going. That's that Erhamai. Okay, and the presence in short is that parousia. Sometimes called Persia, but I think in here in that blue letter, more proper way of saying it is parousia, if I'm remembering correctly. Okay, I don't know if I can spell it right off the top of my head. I'd go look it up, but I'm right where we need to be, and we're going to continue there. We'll do this as many recordings as it takes. You know what I mean? It's still not exhaustive, but I'm not just going to skim over it. That doesn't do you much good. Saying the sweet bye-bye. Long as it's out there, I don't have to worry about it right now. I don't have to deal with it right now. Man, that's relief. That ain't doing it. You're just saying, man, I'm just all right the way I am. You're not all right. God's in there mining in your earthly thinking, fleshly thinking, taking that out so you can get those gold and the precious diamonds. How's a diamond made? Lots of pressure, lots of thalipsis, tribulation, calamities in your life, pressing. It all fits perfectly. If it's not fitting to you, then you're understanding in the spirit of it. You're not interpreting correctly in the spirit. So you can interpret this thing like with a dichotomy. Interpret it. God is love. God is the greatest. He's my great hero. Or you can do this other way. It's going down the crapper. God is a villain. God is awful. And He still loves me. It's double-mindedness. And He's unstable in all His ways. And twisted to their own destruction. God's gonna throw you in hell. Blah, 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 blah. He's a monster. Blah, 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 but He really loves you. I don't really quite understand it, but so you're growing darker and darker and darker, deeper, darker dungeon down into your own righteousness, your own poop thinking, your dung, your filthy mistress, stinking rags, right? That heart of man that's desperately evil and wicked above all things, trying to listen to that old alpha dog, that old beast nature, it's a squatter in your mind, trying to remain king of your heart, of your mind, of your thought processes. God's going all the way down into the root cause of it. The heart of man, this thought process, the mind, not a brain, not a heart, all the way down into the mind, and then all the way down into that the thought processes. God's ways are superior than ours. His thought processes are higher than ours, superior. Right? Just go read. I'm not quoting it, but go read Isaiah chapter 55, verse 9. Don't just read it, study it. Let it exist the right way. See, because in this storm of life, God's putting it in there. Which way are you interpreting this, my child? The green way or the red way? You're still doing anything but in hot pursuit of the green way, agreeing with me, be reasonable, sit my way. You're going down the crapper. You repeat that lesson. Oops. Well, let me dial up the intensity from a 1 to a 2 to a 4 to a 8 to a 16. And it's time it's getting a little bit more calloused. Hardened down and harder to come out of that thing. Pretty soon you're an old wineskin. You can't take that new wine, that new revelation, apocalypse, that new disclosure of truth. It's not new at all. It's to love God with everything you got, basically, and love your neighbor or your fellow human being as yourself. It's love. It's bring you back to the state, a higher and higher and higher, a more superior way of thinking of Racham. Loving God as He first loved you. You're existing as love. Right? Not out there in the sweet by and by or way back here in the past. Right now. Deal with it in the present, imperfect tenses. Continuous. Okay? Excuse me. Now, that first word that they translate in that verse, John chapter 4, verse 3, is the number 863. They translate it as he left. It's spelled Aphiemi. It's this word right here. Well, thanks. There it is.
Strong's G 863.
Aphiemi. They was messing with it. Delay. Come on, man. Just playing with it. An inanimate object. Okay, it's a verb. Aphiemi is a verb. Okay, and it comes from the etymology of that word. It comes from 575. That's apo. Apa. A-P-O, okay? And H-E-I-M-I. Okay, and Hemi, I think is what I pronounce it. See, it's in two words, a compound word there. Okay, so apo, I'll go more into that here in just a minute. And this Hemi is to send an extension of E-I-M-I. I mean. Okay, and that means I exist or to go. So, it's apo, and then to send, to exist, to go. as you're going, as you're leaving that old way of thinking, basically. Your old carnal, non-spiritual way of thinking, and you're going. In the progress, in your walk, in your life, in your exist, back into the right-mindedness of God. Okay? Not just going to history lesson, well, it says right there, he left Judea and departed again to Galilee. Where you get all this stuff? From God. You know, dig and look, interpret it with the right mindedness of God, and see what are you doing, what's going on here, God. All right. Now, how are you using it right now? How's this useful to me right now? See, okay. Not just stand at that, oh, I skimmed the water. I skimmed it 10 times. I even got a couple bugs out of it. All right. Now, so it's apo, and then this to send as you exist, you're leaving, you're going. You're leaving that old stinking thinking process, and you're coming back into the right mindedness of God. And you're thinking internally. This is each and every ball, right? Okay, now this apa, that's 575. Okay, is a primary preposition. Covered this before. Okay, and this is speaking of distancing yourself, and it's speaking of separation, distancing yourself from that old thinking, stinking thinking. Separate from it. If there's something offending you, say, oh, I offend you, pluck it out. Don't mean that you're taking your own physical eye. Give me a knife here, man, and cut that sucker up. There you go, man, he's nuts. Give me a screwdriver here. No. Okay? And you're thinking, if that old nasty crap and junk thinking that you're doing offends you, better turn from it. Metanoia, change the way you think. And come back to God's right line. This agree in hot pursuit. That's the way, the truth, and the life. Jesus gave us that example, right? How to Yahweh is salvation, right? All right. Deliverance from this thing. So separate from that crap, right? That's apa. And the Thayer's, apa is some definitions of that. So this is describing it. Okay? It's departing, fleeing, removing, expelling. It's to vomit it out of your mouth. Like Father God vomit says, I want you either hot or cold. If you're lukewarm, I'll vomit you out. It says spit you out in the King James, but it's more definitive. It's better description. It's vomit you out. You vomit, need to vomit. Apa, separate from that stuff. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. All right. Another with avoiding or abstaining. Abstain, partaking of, or eating from that old tree of your knowledge of good and evil. Well, that was a good way. This is a good way. I think it's worked. It didn't work the other 999 times, but this 1000th time, it's surefire. It's going to work. Oh, man. It's not. Make God true and all men, all that humanistic thinking, a liar. Turn from that old stinking thinking. Separate from it. Vomit that crap out of your mouth like it's poisonous stinking rag. That it truly is. Expose it. You dirty dog. Beat it. Just beat it. I don't have to listen to what you say. You stink. Right? Yeah, you told me that before, didn't you, you son of a buck? Right? That's an illegitimate child. Bastard. Right? That old carnal mind is not the child of God. It's not that. You get rid of that stuff so you can claim your rightful inheritance in Christ. He can bring you up, right? Back into God, right? You stay believing that sucker, that old dog, your old alpha dog, your beast nature, got a blindfold on, trying to lead you around in the dark. Right? The big dummy, aren't you, if you do? Broad is that way. Many are that'll go that way. That leads to destruction, right? But narrow or narrowing is the way to life, the fullness of life in God. Not many are that'll find that. That's inside you and your thought processes. First and foremost, where God's working. Get it right. Take care of your own backyard first. Don't worry about going out there trying to get out other people's lives first when you don't have it right. All right. Now, the online biblical usage, it says, of any kind of separation of any kind from another, by which the union of fellowship of the two is destroyed. Pretty much says it. Which way in the storms of life do you choose to exist? To exist. Do you want to exist back down into your own red way, your own Adamic way, by eating that tree of knowledge of good and evil? Listening to those old lights, your own imagination, that old cherubim, not a fat naked baby, not a little angel, no. You're listening to that old beast nature, that old imagination, yuck, that non-spiritual carnal mind of yours. I'm going to take you right down into yuck. Like touching your toe, your foot, your lifestyle, your walk, to a little bit, I'll just touch my big toe in that oil suck of that poop thinking right there. It really looks good. It might be cool and refreshing. And just, I won't get into a lot. I'll just tell a little white lie, or I'll just do this little wee thing. Presume, sucking you down in there. You going that way? Or are you going to turn from that stuff? Couple to God, to adhere to God, to be in hot pursuit, be emphatically in God. When He gives you the opportunity in these pressures, this storms of life, and green light God, and when you qualify, He's giving increase after increase, 1 to 2 to 4, and you're going in the right direction. Okay? Now, so it's separate, apa, and then hemi, to exist, to send, to go. Send that old crap and thinking out and progress into God. Don't send out, tell God you're insignificant and I'm going with what I think is good and evil. You're either going to eat from the tree of life, God, and progress into the fullness of God, or you're going to eat from that tree of your own stinking thinking. Not so devil out there maybe do it. No. Your own stinking thinking. Take responsibility. You're subjected to this vanity, this hopelessness, not willingly, but in hope. That you come out, and as you're doing this, progressing and gaining more and more of the ability to racham, to love God as He first loved you, to a greater and greater extent. Ability is increasing. Right? Now, so you put that, you separate from that old, and then you're existing back in the God. You exist. That's the two words in this compound word. Now, if you go back to this, I'm not sure how to pronounce that again. It's this word. Hang on. It's that.
Strong's G 863. Aphiemi.
Okay. All right. When you put them together, the online biblical usage says of a husband divorcing his wife. That old stinking thinking. We'll get into that later with the in this chapter. The woman at the well married to the 5 husbands. You're seeing here and taste such a smell with its own ego. Now you're going to divorce that thing and come back to where you're marrying to the wedding supper of the Lamb. Marrying, come back in to union and ENSYN, God. Okay? Which one is divorcing? Are you divorcing in the storms of your life? Yourself, your old yuck thinking, or God? Okay? To sin, and the third is to sin oneself, to go, to bid, or depart. It's put a muzzle on it, you old dog, like Jesus said on that ship when he come up there. Be still. Just put a muzzle on it, you old dog, and the winds and the waves went perfectly quiet, okay? Don't neglect God. Neglect your old yuck thinking. Because you're denying that still small voice is speaking in there. They're not listening. You're looking out that window at the playground. Man, that playground and the fleshly thinking there is awesome. I'd sure like to be out there in it. Are you sure? You better separate from that thinking. Yeah. Okay. Now that's about it for that one, and I'll continue a little bit later. Got the first word in. It's that was Spiritual Toolbox number 363. Okay, I'll continue shortly. Bye-bye.